We're recording as well.
Welcome. Good point. We're going to record as well tonight. Thank you, Rory. You have a bonus on the beginning of the video tonight. Welcome to High Leverage Actions. And this is our weekly podcast, which we're doing live on YouTube. And tonight we're going to talk about integrity. So, hi, I'm Kay Reeve, emotional awareness expert, and
I'm Rory Lemon. I go by Rory Lemon 8, and I am a neurodiversity and creative flow coach.
amazing. So, yes, this week's topic is all about integrity. So I very quickly looked up the introduction to what this is. I mean, we can talk about it for hours, but I wanted the official term. And it is about honesty with morals and principles. So it's how we can talk about that today in terms of how small changes can support your integrity to make big differences when it comes to personal growth. So do you want to kick us off today, Rory?
Can do. I can do. Yeah. In fact, hearing the official title broken down actually seems, even though it seems like a smaller thing than it actually covers, but that small thing about being integral about makes a massive difference to absolutely all areas of life. Not well, yeah, personal development. As soon as you build up your person and develop your person to react and respond or do things in a certain way, it can make a massive difference. It's a high leverage action. And I'll and I'll just say before I pass it back over, but I like to break down integrity as um in three parts: energy, actions, and reflections. But I'll pass it back over to you now.
Oh, wow. After listening to that, I've gone completely blank on what I was going to say. But no, that's really good, actually. Yeah, energy is about the energy we put into something, whether that's positive or negative. The actions, again, basically positive or negative, and whether we're proactive with it or reactive as well. So integrity can kind of be on both sides of it. Sometimes we have to react to things and uphold our integrity, where other times it is about actually being proactive and doing things to uphold that integrity. And what was the third one?
Reflection.
Reflection. Yes, lessons learned. Always lessons learned is great. And being able to reflect on things and say, well, did I quite do that in the best way for me or not? But for me, I've always seen integrity as definitely fitting around that form of honesty in terms of, when you become known as somebody who tells lies or you cheat or you're always finding shortcuts and going against those principles, the values of things, then when you actually want to do something really good and people don't believe you, that's where your integrity can work against you if you haven't upheld it all the time. And it's definitely something that saved my reputation a few times over the years. And it does, integrity is very much tied in with personal reputation. And I've definitely found there's a few times over years when people gossip. And gossip can include all kinds of horrible situations that people make up. And if you've upheld your integrity enough that people don't believe the gossip over not believing you, integrity can really pay off, but it's tough to maintain it at such a high level all the time. But it's still important to maintain your integrity, whether it's family, whether it's work, just your personal reputation. Um, so for me, that honesty part of it has always been a very, very strong, it is reputation, but at the same time, those times when other people want to attack us socially or verbally or whatever, and through social circles, that's when to me, all of the effort we put into integrity becomes that protective barrier. And we talked about barriers and boundaries last week, and integrity is a positive barrier that helps protect us. So I'm going to stop there for a minute and come back to you, Rory, because I've got a few other things listed to talk about yet in my mind. But I don't want to throw it all in at once.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said around. um personal personal reputation, honesty being something to it's there. Was just something you said was it was very there was something about that, and it's to do with when we have these when we're having conversations and we either um like you say, if there's problem feels like there's a problem coming with someone from somewhere or someone,
Mm,
or it can be even th our own against our own thoughts. And when those things come up, not to not to hold it in a way in which um stops the integrity of honesty, to be vulnerable, to explain, hey, even if it's not to try to create an argument, but just to say, um, you know, I want to walk away now for a moment, or it comes back to the creating that boundary just to calm back down, or you know, before, and this is what comes back to energy, action, and reflect, but around that place of reflecting is a way to um build on and not keep the same patterns going on. So if there's
I get
not
you.
being, not being honest with yourself, or if someone's not being on, if I'm not honest with myself around how I'm feeling about something, then it will just continue, or give the situation or the person the opportunity and permission to carry on in that way. And so it's that sense of being honest enough to go, well, this is important to me, and being vulnerable and also courageous to apply that information out to either shift something and move it, because integrity doesn't mean just maintaining something. It's also about building on something that we want, skills that we want to build.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. The reflection point definitely very important because I suppose integrity fits in a lot of times as well. In those moments where we're faced with challenges of all kinds that could trigger us. And rather than triggering and reacting, like you're saying at the start, stop, think, and then act rather than react, and slowing that process down rather than making that knee-jerk decision. And like you say, even with your own self thoughts, I like that. And I wasn't thinking about it in terms of your own personal integrity and your own thoughts. But that's really important as well. I get that. Thank you, Rory. I've always kind of looked at it as this two-way social thing, and but I suppose actually, yeah, when as you were saying this, and from the parenting teens point of view, but as I deal with, even things like exams, cheating on exams is about your own personal integrity. Or whether you go in and do those exams honestly and then know that the grades you've earned are ones you've earned, like you genuinely deserve them. And so many ways, and job interviews, actually in workplaces, in social circles, and say dealing with family, integrity fits with every aspect of life. And yeah, that's a good way of doing it in all aspects. And I've seen so many people and situations where people have a high level of integrity in one of those areas. And I always say people exist to live in three places: home, work, and education. And then we have social life as well. But if you're not, kind of fits under home. If you're not in home, you're homeless. If you're not in a job, you're jobless. And if you're not in education, you're out of education. So those to me are the three key zones of life. And there are so many areas where somebody will have this really high level of integrity, for example, at work, but at home, they'll go home and perhaps be really abusive to the family and have no integrity at all. And other people are great with families, but absolutely fall apart at work and find it hard to fit in. So it's about learning to use that integrity and those thought processes to kind of bring that more balanced across the board, I suppose, and make life balanced rather than, you know, all over the place and dysregulated. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and that so. that really nicely circles down to the energy that we're feeling, as in
Hmm.
kind of emotion. When it comes into emotional energy, energy's there all the time. Where is it being directed in the body by the thoughts and the feelings, and to redirect those feelings so we can control them? It's good to use. We've got emotions, and they're all there all the time. So it's 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 learning how how to feel what we feel without building on the whatever perception that may make it net more, unbeneficial. So, uh, but staying angry or staying worried, or those things pang as little things that come up, but then we've learnt to fight it and hold onto it. So the energy of our integrity, of our emotional intelligence, what would could be called positive intelligence as well, is how to shift from emotional to positive, not to go ha 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 happy all the time, um, but to recognize it and keep shifting and being in a play state and flow with our feelings and how we react on the reactions, because the reactions happen. So they reactions happen. How we react to the reactions can be more of our responsibility to be in integrity, so that we help ourselves and be less stressed, as and also um how we then role model that to others, so that then they can also be uh okay with being open and honest, if they're in out of integrity with themselves,
Yeah.
or situation too. That's energy part. And then just moving into action is, once the energy's in flow, then actions become more powerful and more strong, because if we're really angry and we direct that energy and we take an action, it's really powerful in an angry way.
Hmm.
So, so it's again, yes, release the anger in some way, come back, but then using that constructively, that instruct uh, constructively, uh, constructively flowing emotion and energy into something that builds, is where we direct it all, and then we're responsible for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and like you say, with the energy, emotional energy, and whichever way we push that, you were saying in there about the role modeling and how we pay this forward. Now, I've mentioned about working with parenting teens, and for me, that has come from an experience of raising a child with neurodiversity, and yourself working a lot with neurodiversity. We're both having discovered our own neurodiversity in life somewhere along the way. That actually it's just as important, if not more so, for us to understand that, because my experience through life, and maybe for you as well, is that people with neurodiversity, or people who are neurodivergent, tend to have a lot more personal attack, a lot more judgment put upon them, a lot more pressure, and very often that energy can be much more reactive as a result, and therefore even more effort and more energy has to go in to finding that balance, that ability to step back, to think, and to find those calmer responses, to have that, what was the topic? Oh, integrity, to have that integrity throughout all conversations. I lost the word for a moment, my goodness, my aphasia kicking in. But yes, it's so there is so much we could carry on about this. And the next bit I kind of want to bring into this is personal values, because I think that's a really important topic to tie in with integrity. Because sometimes integrity is based very much around what our own beliefs and our own values and our own strengths are. But how do we uphold integrity when somebody else's beliefs and values are different, and we end up at loggerheads with people, or somebody's trying to manipulate us into upholding, I don't know, especially for younger people, when you've got these codes and they say it's the friend code or the guy or the girl code, and, well, you should be doing it this way because that's the code. And that can go against our integrity. So it's about being aware of those moments as well, and not getting drawn and manipulated into things by these codes that people throw on us socially, to be able to go against what your personal values are, or being able to stop and think, well, actually, I that is my value around this action or whatever's going on, or this conversation. They're trying to get me to do something different, and having, like you say, that moment to step back and think, now, do I uphold their values or my own? And which one is of the higher value? Does that make sense to you, Rory? I'm kind of not sure if I'm throwing that out there right today.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, it
but
does. It's what I'm hearing is a again that reactivity coming up, so like that the what you described as the um say for instance the example of someone that is more struggling with their emotions through neurodivergence, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, and and um and to withhold integrity, to step back and learn about it. Um because they may be feeling judged, for instance, but learning that how, again, the internal reactivity doesn't matter whether someone's judging you or not, it's down to ourselves to not buy into it. Otherwise, we're just fueling it for ourselves, causing that stress. And so, when you're talking about integrity with two people, to create integral moments, and build on structure and the relationship, as it were, as it is, finding a shared highest value that can all. That's what I love about these cards that I created as well, is is that they remind me of my highest values in any moment. So I've found a way to stay integral with myself, so that if I'm feeling anxious about something, I come back to a state of, oh, if I'm courageous right now, what would I do? Oh, yeah, I would say this, or I would look after myself and, channel that fear into going for a walk and calming down and using up that energy in a positive way, or whatever it is. So, but when it comes to two people, finding a common value or common highest value is something that then can be talked about as well from that space. So I like what you said about checking in values and seeing what's going on and what's the value that's important right now. And we talk about, you know, love, trust, freedom, connection, joy. Those are all highest values because they cover so much underneath all of this. So it's worthwhile looking into highest values, and if there's any sort of discrepancy or clash of opinions or something like that, is it even worthwhile covering, or is it just there's just two different preferences, or is there something needs to be agreed on to move forward, and what is the highest value that matches over that, which means focusing on that means that, oh yeah, well, if this is the value, and this is someone was saying I want this and I want this. Oh, well, which value meets both of those needs? And then the outcome can look different to what was fixed on, but actually it still gets the thing done that they wanted, which was love or joy, or
yeah,
arguing over which board game to
yeah,
play. It would be a really silly example. Like, I want to play this, I want to play that, and the actual highest value that they want is to have some joy time.
yeah,
So going, okay, well, let's if what else what could we do that will both bring us joy in this moment, if it's not that one or that one, because there'll be something else, or
yeah.
you know yeah, anyway, yeah.
Oh, that's good. And I like that. And your values, you come up with a really great selection of values there. And it's actually completely different to the values I was thinking. But this is the whole point of why we have these great conversations. Because in the strategy in my book, I talk about values in terms of root causes. The root causes of every problem in the world come down, in my strategy, the finances. And we've all got values over money and how we spend it or earn it. And that can be very much integrity based, how we earn or spend money, whether it is gambling or whether it is, there's a lot of people out there whose integrity over money means just going out and scamming the world on the internet. Very little integrity at all, if any. But then we've got others who are very, very strongly valued over it and protect others. And anyway, then there's links, as I put it, or connections. So for me, connections is like people we know. Which people do we have the most integrity with? Who would we likely be the most honest with? Whereas other people, we might tell a little few white lies to protect ourselves a bit more from people who are more dishonest. Because some people don't have that integrity towards us. So we might not have the same level towards them as a form of self-protection. But again, then you've got people who are in high profile jobs, like judges and politicians, and don't laugh, and all these people in high profile jobs who should have very high levels of integrity. But we know what happens on social media when they slip up with theirs. Massive stories for all the wrong reasons. And so it's finance links, information is the other one. So when you have information, the integrity over that is how you protect it, like data protection acts for the internet. And businesses or business owners should have a very high level of integrity over information. But then there's also the other end of it where friends are having a chat and, like we say, about gossiping and the things we say in having those casual conversations. It's not only about the integrity of reacting to things said to us, but our own integrity about the things we say out about other people. Like you say, making judgments about other people can actually be harmful to how other people view us in return. Time is another one, integrity of time and how you manage that and spend time with other people. And the final one for me was energy. And like Rory says, emotional energy, definitely a big one. And then also, even things like physical energy. It's one thing to use physical energy to help people, and like fire brigade and ambulance crew and lots of people that go out there and do physical work to support others, people who go around delivering groceries even. It's using their physical strengths and abilities to serve others. Whereas somebody who goes out and is physically abusive obviously has very little integrity around their physical abilities. And so for me, that's kind of how I break down all of those personal values. And it's for each of those, it's how we value each of those as a strength or a weakness that actually adds towards our overall integrity profile, I think, and how others view us. So I'm going to throw back to you in a minute again, Rory, because that's quite a lot to throw out again. But so I could go on about this for hours. Maybe even some stories of things where mine's upheld me, but you might want to save them for another day. So,
Okay. Yeah. 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 Some good things to look into. It sounds like when you're talking about integrity is also a sense of adding um like trust in self or creating trust in others
yes, yeah.
and what that looks like as well. Yeah. So that it's
Good
that's
point.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
And I think the final piece that comes out for me around is the reflection part, which is um to really looking at time every if possible every day, even if it's just a short amount of time, just resting and listening to and defragmenting before going to sleep, just defragmenting what's been experienced and because otherwise we can be really in integrity
Mm.
with um with not growing with not growing and that's
Yeah.
what I mean by integrity. Integrity's almost got this strength to it. It's got bonds attached to it.
Does
So
that come back to that stubbornness?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we had a great conversation the other week on Rory's channel about stubbornness, on his Facebook group, and yeah, that almost to me feels like that. If you've got right, here's my values, here's my boundaries, and I'm not shifting. I think to me that always comes back to that stubbornness, which is not where we want you with your integrity. It's meant to be a growth factor.
Well,
So
this is it. This is it. That's what I mean. Is that in a way, it's you could be in integrity with whatever you believe, but even if that's not beneficial to yourself or others as well. So that's the point, is like the reflection piece is the only way to
mm,
decide and bend thing or move things towards. So like having integrity to for myself to like um be creative so that my mental health is this is what I want to help. I help other people to remember to get creative, even if it's just for their mental health, or put it into a side project that could build into something that has some finance coming in from it, or just stepping up the business. And that's the point, is that if I'm not in integrity with that idea myself, then how am I supposed to show others? And so I recently this year, as you know, Clay, just went right. I'm putting in the diary every single Tuesday. I'm going to play the guitar, and then it's going to remind. I'm going to build on something, and then I'm just going to put it out there into the Facebook group, because it will keep me in integrity of staying and playing that song,
yeah,
like playing the skill of the guitar, which is something I really it really helps me.
yeah,
So that's like personal development is a term of that. If I was not necessarily recording it or having a way to put it out there, and a sense of promise to myself, commitment to doing it. Commitment creates integrity as well. So committing is that energy in action. When you put the energy in action, and you're taking that action regardless of whether whether it's gonna be useful or not, it's still pushing things forwards. But yeah, people can be in integrity in a negative way. They can be integral in their going to the pub
yeah,
and drinking 9 pints a day. That could be their stronghold on something that's not useful for
mm,
them as such.
yeah,
Um, um, but yeah, so just recognizing, going, okay, what did I do today? I wasn't so in integrity there. How do I shift that, or do I do that next time, and make a plan to just tweak it, or commit to something different, or tweak it? And that's where I feel that integrity, that's how integrity gets created, or the type of integrity that's wanted gets created and is built on, is through that process.
yeah. Oh, that's incredible. And hearing through what you're saying there, so I had to make some notes part way through so I don't forget what I'm going to reply to that. Um, I like what you're saying about trust and building, because we talk about building trust with other people, but like you say, building trust with yourself as well. And I know certainly from experience, there have been times when that comes down a lot with the blame culture, and Britain in particular is very strong for blame culture. And when you've been honest with yourself and honest with others, it is a shield against people trying to pass the blame rather than dealing with their own integrity. And that's kind of coming back around to the earlier comment on that. The second part is when you're saying about being creative, and I get that for you, absolutely. And there's a lot of people with neurodiversity who are so creative in their own ways, but being able to be authentic to that as well, rather than letting that slide. But for your business, I get it, because you're helping people with neurodiversity who, or people who are neurocreative people, and they have potential. And for you to help them but not follow that yourself, I get that. That would be losing integrity. So I get it. A bit harder for me when it comes to parenting teens, and mine are grown up. I've got grandchildren coming up, and they're so close to reaching those teen years already. And it's about keeping your hand in, almost like a practice, isn't it? Like a form of keep. keep rehearsing, keep practicing, and whatever your personal values, your skills, your strengths, your weaknesses are about building that integrity around that. And the final bit is where you're talking about getting stuck and thinking that's the way something's always been done, that's the way I've always done it, no one's going to tell me how to do it any differently, that kind of thing. Is it a form of learned helplessness? And that, I think, is another quick one I would just want to chuck in at the end there, because we're actually looking to talk about that next week, is when these patterns of behavior that have built up over time are not intentional. They're not ones that you've done on purpose, and they're not ones where you've said, right, I'm just going to screw the world and just do it my way. It is actually about having learned things from people who've learned them with people, and it's just the way things have been passed down generations or through generations of a company, from one member of staff to another. And recognizing sometimes, like you say, reflection part, is that actually the best way it could be done? Or can I personally move into a place of growth and change and do things more effectively? And to me, integrity fits around all of that. But with that learned helplessness, I think there's a really big topic we need to look at in more depth next week. So,
Hey, great.
yay. Any final thoughts on today?
No,
No, I
no.
think we've
o-
covered it.
o- Other than, yeah, keep the energy, keep taking actions with what energy you want to bring, not what you think you should be doing, or all that kind of stuff. But the shoulds and the coulds and the woulds, um, and reflect.
Mm. And remember, if you want other people to treat you with integrity, treat yourself that way to start with, and as well. And just, yeah, it's all part of growth. Nobody expects anyone to be perfect at this overnight. And everybody might think, actually, I really am good at upholding integrity. But if there's any little thing you've picked up from today that is going to help you with that, please let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got some more subscribers this week, so great. This is an early channel. We are growing. We're trying to build our integrity on this channel, so please help support us and help share our work. And for anybody who wants to know more about my books or Rory's books or Emma, who's also a member in the self-help bookshelf, please come and join us in the Facebook group as well. And keep in touch with us in the comments here. So next week, learned helplessness. We'll go into more detail on that. But thank you for joining me again today, Rory.
It's been a pleasure. Nice one, Kay. Always a pleasure.